Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and I am really excited to bring you this review. It's not often that I turn around and refer to a figure as the best figure of the year, the best I've handled in a while, but this figure right here fits that category to a T. This is the best transforming figure I've handled in 2018, or will handle, period. This is the best figure and the most fun figure I've handled in quite some time. This is from Action Toys DX Bike Robo. I know for a lot of you, this review is very late. I know you've probably watched the review by other reviewers, and they've all said the same thing. Well, let me tell you, what I'm going to say, what they have said, Hooked on Phonics worked for me, doesn't begin to cover how great this figure is. When Action Toys started their Machine Robo line, this, I think, is the culmination of their first efforts. What we have here is a large-scale version of Bike Robo, which is really meant to homage the old, what we would call the Super GoBots, which were the larger scale GoBots. And back in the day, in Japan, they called them the DX Machine Robo figures. Now, this figure can perfectly transform, with the exception of having to remove the wheels, but that's a common factor and point for all Bike Robo figures. Even in the GoBots cartoon, Psykill used the wheels as a weapon, so that's there. But let's say you want a more polished motorcycle look. Well, these articulated hands are removable. And let me just go ahead and show you. They just... Of course, they're not going to come off easy right now, but they pop right off. Ugh. A little humid today, so that's probably why. And these are articulated hands. They open, they close. You get the single finger look. But what you do have instead are these solid, classic style closed fits. Now here's my first little quibble about things. Little quibble. I think they could have just made the hands like this, with a hinge at the top and bottom to open like a clamp, because that's how I remember Psykill's hands moving. I haven't seen enough of Revenge of Kronos to tell if Bike Robo, his hands were like that, or were more like the articulated ones. But as you can see, plugs in quite nicely. Now, what about offensive capabilities? Well, just go ahead and remove this other hand. Please come off a lot easier. There we go. And instead of putting on the other round hand, we have this. And you get two of these. And these are blast effect parts that can make it look like shooting lasers out of your fist, like we did in the GoBots cartoon. Now, but see, now we get to the problem, though. This head, this is the original Psykill toy, but as we all know now, this is really the face of Bike Robo, a noble, heroic warrior. You know, not a... by the way, I finally got it after all these years. The head is based on a 1970s helmet, like motorcycle helmet, with that little, you know, the little lip there. That's kind of cool. I'm actually kind of surprised Machine Robo, Bike Robo wasn't based more on a Kamen Rider motorcycle. But as I was going to say, you know, this really doesn't feel like Psykill. And that's where these come in. Packed separately, but definitely are part of the order. I do not know if these were first release bonuses. I got mine figure from TF Source, and I got them. you have 3 interchangeable face plates done up to look like Psykill. You have a neutral face, a smirking face, which is my favorite, and the angry face. And face swapping is the easiest I've seen on any transforming robot in quite some time. You also get a little partner drone that I actually had, TF Source had to send me separately later on because it wasn't included, but really don't know what it does. It's actually, you can hold one of the faces there inside. No articulation. I'm sure somebody can tell me from what episode of GoBots it comes from. Now, like I said, changing the faces is the easiest I've seen. Basically, what you want to do is that little orange clear piece, you press down, and it pops out the face, excuse me, which is usually held in by magnets. And you just go ahead, slip the new face in, and oh my God, we have the realization, ladies and gentlemen, masterpiece Psykill. I have to tell you, this is how I have the figure displayed most of the time. That's the face. This is the color scheme. Yes, it's a little darker than it was in the Japanese animated cartoon. Who knows, maybe we'll get an edition that's a lighter color scheme, like the basic Bike Robo. But this is it. This is Psykill. This is what I've been waiting for. And it is awesome. It is totally cool. Now, we're going to pause and get into the transformation, but one last thing. If you'd like to have a closed faceplate, they do include a little white plate that goes in the same slot there, so you don't have the open face. I don't know. I guess Bike Robo in the cartoon transformed like this, but in GoBots, Psykill's face was open like that, so we're just going to leave it. So we're going to pause, and then we're going to get into the transformation. Okay, a few things I've done is I've returned the figure to a neutral pose. I've also gone ahead and added on the other closed-fisted hand. Again, you can transform this figure with the original head or any of the other face plates and with the articulated hands. You don't have to switch them out. I usually don't, but I did it here just for the sake of the review. First thing you want to do is come up to the arms and remove the wheels. And let me just show you, the wheels are magnetized in place. That is wonderful. They will not fall out unless you're entirely crazy, but get them out of the way. The next step you want to do is detach the arms from the armpit joint here, which is like they peg into place. And this is where like my second little bit of complaint comes from. You do have like a little open area here in the chest. Next, what you can do is rotate the handlebar section up, pull the head all the way up, just like that. And some reviewers have mentioned it. I want to go ahead and do it too. The head is fully articulated. There is even like a ball joint section there. So just make sure you know that. And then what you're going to do is make sure you have the arms rotated forward. I probably should have done that first. But then you're going to... And then what you also want to do is, and I bend them at the elbow, rotate them so that the elbow is facing out and you do have that little slot section facing towards the figure. That's where the wheel's going to peg in. And then what you're going to do is just go ahead, collapse the arm back in, and you might have to stick your finger in a little to get a little support there because there's a little red tab that's going to peg in the arm slot, and that will help. That will secure it in place. And at that point, bring one of the wheels in, peg it into the fist and into that slot in the arm, just like so. I would do it just the way I did it, one at a time, and then go ahead and bring this together just like so. And you can adjust the positioning and what have you, however you see fit. But there you have the front half of the bike done. I almost said bicycle. This is a motorcycle, Chuck. Motorcycle. And it's a nice one at that. So, okay. Now we're going to come down to the trickiest part of the transformation, but I also think the most fun, and that's the legs. First thing you want to do, flip these little hip guards out of the way. Straighten the leg out. The natural position I see is that slightly splayed. And then what you want to do is go ahead, bend this up slightly. Come around here, flip that panel up. There's a back panel right there. You want to flip that up too. And then you're just going to come in, unpeg the inside of the leg, flip it up and around, just like that. Bend the knee in more so you can close that panel up and around. And I'll get to the kickstand here in a minute. Next, what you want to do, and this isn't shown in the instructions, but trust me, you're going to want to do this. Swing out the hips a little, just to give yourself a little bit of room. Rotate the foot on this swivel. Turn it so it's facing up, and then push it up and in, just like that. And then the leg slides inward on this calf joint. It doesn't swivel, it slides. Be very careful of that. And I would hold off until you have the other leg transformed before putting the wheel in. And by the way, the reason I had you swing the hip out is to give yourself enough room to do the transformation, which we're going to repeat right here. Bend the knee, bend it up, out, just like so. And you want that knee bent all the way so it's closed up. Bring the foot back in, just like so. Slide it in on that joint until it snaps into place. Then I would say go ahead, bring the legs together. They will all peg together. Make sure the hips are snapped in and make sure you got everything tight, just like that. You see how everything just tabbed and pegged together? And then finally what you're going to do is there are little slots here in the chest that will tab into place on the motorcycle. Ta-da! And then finally bring this kickstand down, just like so. And there you go. And that's a great way to figure out if you have the arms in a proper position. The kickstand should be able to hit the ground very easily. And one thing I want to make a note about the kickstand. The kickstand can only rotate in one direction, especially when going back to robot mode. You want to bring it back like this, unpeg the legs, flip everything around, and then keep rotating it until it slides out the back by those exhaust pipes. Do not bring it forward like this. And there you have DX Bike Robo in its bike mode. This little section you can flip up. Really not 100% sure what the proper positioning is for it, but yeah, it's up like that. At least that's what it shows you on the box. But fantastic figure. I am so happy I got this. I can't tell you the paint, the color, the right amount of die cast. As I said in the beginning, this is the culmination of everything Action Toys had done before. Rubber wheels, the bike can roll. Maybe you can get a scale figure to ride on it. I wouldn't fool around with it in that regard. But again, fantastic, fantastic, fantastic figure. We'll pause, and I'll give you my final thoughts. Going by the views of my last Machine Robo review, I know a lot of you aren't going to watch this, and that's a shame because, like I said at the beginning, this is the best transforming figure of 2018. This is the best Machine Robo figure that Action Toys has put out. If you are only going to buy one Machine Robo figure, this is it. If you only remember the GoBots and you sort of remember the motorcycle guy and would want some like masterpiece level upgrade to it, this is it. I don't know if the DX line is continuing. Action Toys, at the time of this recording, just revealed their next wave of basic figures, and it's going to be Turbo, Fitor, Blue Jet, and whatever Turbo was called, and I think the Train guy. Unfortunately, I'm not 100% sure on the names. There's also the big semi type of vehicle that was actually a retool from Super Sentai. So, wrap your brain around that. But they are committed to that basic line. And I have to tell you, the basic figures have gotten a little bit better. I've only handled two, Eagle Robo and Bike Robo. I have a few more. I just haven't gotten around to, fiddling with them yet. And Eagle Robo was okay. I had some problems with that. If I review it, we'll get into it there. Bike Robo was better, but you had, like, the kickstand was removable, the handlebars had to be removed, and it just didn't have the fit and finish that this figure does. I think some of the later ones are like that, and I really hope that Turbo and especially Blue Jet have more of that fit and finish and feel more like this. And I really hope we get more in the DX line. I hope we get an Eagle Robo in the DX line. Action Toys is very aware that there are two separate camps when it comes to Machine Robo. The Machine Robo fans and the GoBots fans. And they have been very attentive to make sure there are figures released in every wave that attract both sides. Eagle Robo was not a big character in Revenge of Kronos, but he was Leader 1, so obviously it made sense for him to be released at the same time as Bike Robo, who was a major character in Revenge of Kronos, as well as the enemy GoBot leader, Psykill, leader of the Renegades. I'm rambling because this figure is awesome, and I really want to stress that to you. For the 25 to 50 of you who are going to watch this video, thank you so much for staying to the end. I do appreciate it. This was a video I've been waiting a long time to do. I was really looking forward to doing this. I know it's late, but I still wanted to get it out there. Big Bad Toy Store just had a restock of this figure. Maybe TF Source still has some of theirs in stock. Definitely, even if you can't get the interchangeable Psykill faceplates anymore, just the figure itself with the Bike Robo face is worth it. It's your old pal Chuck for DX Bike Robo, aka Masterpiece Psykill. We will see you next time.